Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, 3 applications to halt oil drilling in the Bahamas denied, but the court battle isn't over yet. Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd says he's satisfied with national exam results. We have the breakdown. Plus, last-minute Christmas shopping in the capital. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, exploratory oil drilling in Bahamian waters continues after 3 applications for extensions were denied in the Supreme Court this morning. Kyle Joaquin explains that this is not the end of the court battle, though, as a full hearing is scheduled to take place in just a matter of days.
Court proceedings taking a break just for the Christmas holiday tomorrow, but come Saturday, Supreme Court Justice Petra Hannah Adderley says she will let attorneys know how they will proceed. But in the meantime, the controversial issue of exploratory oil drilling in Bahamian waters continues. Environmental groups Waterkeeper Bahamas Limited and the Coalition to Protect Clifton Bay were hoping for a Christmas miracle that would see exploratory oil drilling by Bahamas Petroleum Company come to a halt. That group, through Queen's Counsel Fred Smith, has been seeking to challenge several decisions made by government in relation to the matter, including Environment Minister Amal Ferreira's decision back in February to grant BPC's environmental authorization, a decision in February to approve BPC's environmental impact assessment, and another decision made by the government back in April. However, Supreme Court Justice Petra Hannah Adderley denied 3 extensions as the applications were not brought within the time stipulated by the court rule and will return on the 29th for hearing on 2 others. The application for leave to bring judicial review proceedings to the effect of the decisions made back in August and November of this year will be heard at 11 a.m. on that date. Smith, who represents the environmentalists, argued that it's a very simple matter, calling it a matter of process. He asked that a later date be chosen so that all issues can be wrapped in one and heard by the court at one time. In the meantime, he asked that Queen's Counsel Claire Montgomery and the legal team representing BPC stop what he called a rush to drill. However, Montgomery responded saying it's quite impossible for the exploration that is underway to be stopped in a meaningful sense. She said that was the basis of her team's objection for the application of a stay. She added that there is a very detailed explanation as to why, now that drilling is underway, that it is impossible to halt it. Justice Petra Hannah Adderley said after hearing all that she needed to hear, she will revert to legal counsel for all sides on Saturday regarding the way forward. She added that she will consider all arguments presented, including that of Smith, who said the 3 applications could not be denied if they weren't heard. Hannah Adderley said as she knows the matter will take up a considerable amount of judicial time, she's trying to move it along as it is urgent. She said her way forward will be logical and fair. Meanwhile, drilling of Perseverance No. 1 well near the Keysale Bank in the southwestern waters of the Bahamas continues. It's a matter that has prompted numerous protests both here in New Providence as well as in Grand Bahama. Environmentalists fear potential damage to the country's marine environment as a result. And while he has already stated that he is totally against oil drilling in Bahamian waters, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has said it was an agreement his government met in place when it took office in 2017. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, the Ministry of National Security announcing that the Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy granted 147 requests for clemency and 1 request for the expungement of a criminal record. The ministry revealing that the committee met on Wednesday to review 205 requests for clemency and 2 for expungement of records. As a result, 147 people were approved for clemency, with 6 pending additional reports. 1 record was expunged and 59 applications were deferred to the next meeting in January 2021. The group comprised the largest that the Prerogative of Mercy Committee has ever considered. According to the government, clemency petitions allow for some measure of compassion to be extended to persons who have been sentenced to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services for criminal offenses and have demonstrated through rehabilitation programs the ability to be reintegrated into society. In other news, national exam results show that only a fraction of those who sat the exam got a C or above. Despite that fact, the education minister has said he's very satisfied with the results. Jasmine Brown has the breakdown in this report.
The exam results released by the Ministry of Education on Wednesday evening showed that only 6%, or 365 of the 6,073 students who sat the Bahamas General Certificate of Secondary Education exams in 2020 received at least a C grade in 5 or more subjects. 598 students obtained a minimum grade of D in at least 5 subjects. Speaking to reporters ahead of the release of the results, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd expressed satisfaction.
I am very satisfied with the results, all things considered. As you would expect, there were fewer numbers that took the exams than had been registered, and that's for any number of reasons. Certainly the COVID experience would have been primary about that.
Although fewer students sat the exam this year, percentage-wise, of the 27 subjects tested, improvements were noted in 15 subjects, including auto mechanics, biology, bookkeeping and accounts, chemistry, clothing construction, and others. There were 15,017 BGCSE grades awarded this year. This number represents a decrease of roughly 37.93% when compared to 2019, which had a total of 23,810 grades. The results show that just over 8% of grades awarded were A's, 11% were B's, and 27% of grades issued were C's. A further 22.04% of grades awarded were D's, 13.89% were E's, 9.16% were F's, 5.86% were G's, and 2.80% of grades were U's. The U grade indicates that a student failed to show any positive achievement in the subject.
It's been a challenging and a difficult year, as you know. In fact, for the Bahamas, it's been a difficult year and a half, beginning with Dorian of September 2019. And this is why it is so important for us to see how best we can immediately resume face-to-face instructions.
Lloyd has indicated that the ministry hopes to resume face-to-face learning on New Providence and Abaco as early as February.
Our students are desperate. The teachers are anxious. We are very happy to begin this process for the benefit of many students who learn best in that quality environment.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And a man believed to be in his late 20s was shot to death during an incident on Rupert Dean Lane last night. According to police press liaison officer ASP Audley Peters, officers received reports of a fatal shooting shortly after 8 p.m.
The preliminary facts are that shortly after 8, this male would have left his residence, and moments later, the family members heard gunshots. When they went outside, they met him lying on the ground. EMS was called in, and after their examination of the body, they pronounced the male lifeless.
Close friends tell our News the victim is the father of a 1-year-old boy. Peter says a number of persons are assisting police with their investigation. A Bahamian nurse is speaking out on her experience taking Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Ramanda Trico Lee is a registered nurse in Miami, Florida. She took the vaccine last Friday and says it was like any other vaccine. She had this advice for people who are unsure about its safety.
The first thing that I think they should do is proper research. I feel there's just too much wrong information out there that's causing all these fears with everyone. I think going on reputable sites, looking up scholarly journals, and just talking to healthcare professionals would be a really good step for anybody who's feeling concerned about it.
Trico Lee has been a nurse for 8 years and has been working at Jackson South for a year and a half. She says working as a nurse during a pandemic has been a roller coaster ride.
It was really intense the beginning of the year with everything going on with COVID. Just because, we didn't really know what was going to happen with this virus, and, being in the hospital, you just saw the numbers increasing and increasing. Every day you'd hear codes and code blue and code blue and code blue. So it was really scary at first. And then I think now it's gotten a bit better, but we're looking at another surge coming. So it is a really scary time for healthcare professionals.
Well, some clouds moving in outside the Our News studios. Greg Thompson is here to let us know what the night looks like for Santa's arrival.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Infogrowth. Current conditions outside our studios, a very warm day around the islands. Temperatures managed to get up into the 80s, starting now into the 70s. 75 is the current temperature under partly cloudy skies. It's breezy out there. Your winds are out of the south at 12 knots, feels like temperature 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite view around the area, that's southeast southerly flow, bringing some clouds across the area with just some spotty showers. But the real story is that massive cold front across the southeast United States on its way here overnight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Thanks, Greg. Still to come on our news, a senior health official warning against unnecessary holiday travel, plus a young father's fight to survive. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
Traffic jams and long lines outside shopping centers across New Providence today as residents rush to pick up those last-minute Christmas items. Bethany McDermott has that.
It was a mad dash across the capital today as grocery stores and retail stores were packed with last-minute Christmas shoppers. Over at Harbor Bay Plaza, there was bumper-to-bumper traffic and long lines to get into popular stores like John Bull and the Sports Center.
Clothes, shoes, stuff for my little boy, all kind of stuff.
This is actually just to pick up some spirits for the Christmas. That's it. We've done all of our shopping already.
Some last minute gifts for a few friends and some things for tomorrow's lunch.
And despite the hardship brought on by the global pandemic, businesses we spoke to today say they're not seeing a major dip in sales when compared to last year.
It's doing pretty good, but I was looking similar because of the merchandise. We don't have the merchandise that we had compared to last year. Because of the pandemic, we weren't able to get everything that we really needed. So it isn't exactly, I would say, compared to last year, but it's been pretty good, actually. I would say relatively the same from last year, actually. So, yeah, it's going good. There's not any difference, really.
Still, residents admit that Christmas will look and feel different this year.
We've actually done a lot of little Zoom talking or greetings through Zoom.
Yeah, there's actually less people, so it's actually a little bit more organized.
And easier to get around.
Yes, sir.
I find like it's much less busy and quiet, you know, at the mall. I just came from the mall and here I was expecting lines and a lot more traffic, but no, it's been really nice. I'm enjoying it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Meanwhile, a senior health official is warning residents against travel this holiday season as scientists try to learn more about a new strain of COVID-19. Dr. Nakia Forbes, director of the National HIV/AIDS and Infectious Disease Program, is urging the public to limit holiday trips to essential travel only.
Travel can increase the chance that one will get coronavirus and transmit coronavirus. Certainly, if you're traveling to a place where there are mutated strains, there's a risk of getting a mutated strain and traveling back to your destination or where you live with it. Generally, at this time, we know that there is an increase in travel related to the holidays. It would be prudent and wise for people to balance the need for travel, try and keep it essential travel to try and minimize the risk. Because all of this collectively, our individual activities and behaviors add up collectively, and it can be very impactful. It can cause an uptick in cases.
According to Forbes, travel has been heavily linked to the spread of COVID-19, and if health protocols are ignored, there will likely be a spike following the holiday season.
There can definitely be trends and increases or surges in virus associated with holiday travel. Around the Thanksgiving period, about two or 3 weeks after that, we saw that there was an uptick in cases. So it is possible that we could see that 2 to 3 weeks after the Christmas season. And again, there are things we can do to mitigate that, balance the need for travel, essential travel, and keep following the public health recommendations. Masks, avoiding crowds, closed spaces, limiting gatherings and mixing with persons, and that should help to reduce the chance that we would have a surge.
As families across the country gather for the holidays, the family of one young father is doing all it can to get him life-saving heart surgery for Christmas. Jasmine Brown has his story.
Alice's family says it's now a race against time to save his life, and they're looking for a miracle for Christmas.
Keith felt a pain in his chest. And luckily, he went straight to the clinic.
Keisha Ellis Hunt described the day everything changed for her 39-year-old brother, Keith Ellis. The father of a 13-year-old daughter is fighting for his life after he suffered a heart attack on Tuesday afternoon.
Wednesday is when all of this information started coming out. This is when we started letting people know. This is when we got news that he would need the surgery. So it's really been over the course of the past 24 hours that we've really got the ball rolling and really trying to jump quickly to get him the help that he needs.
Ellis Hunt says it was at the hospital after several tests the doctors discovered that he had an aortic dissection. It is a condition in which the inner layer of the aorta, the large blood vessel branching off from the heart, tears. Blood surges through the tear, causing the inner and middle layers of the aorta to separate. Given the seriousness of the condition, his family now says he is in a race against time for the risky procedure.
So we're hoping to have him airlifted as soon as possible. We are on a race against the clock. These kinds of surgeries really need to happen as soon as possible after the attack for the best results. Well, Keith may bring in Christmas on an operating table, have an open heart surgery. So that's what we're looking at.
Ellis Hunt says the operation is so risky that local doctors have recommended her brother be airlifted to the United States. The family needs $165,000 for the airlift and open heart surgery operation, and they are asking for help. They have set up a GoFundMe page.
So it's actually really easy. If you're not familiar with GoFundMe, you can just honestly Google GoFundMe, Keith's Heart.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
When our news comes back from the break, Grand Bahama grateful for assistance in rebuilding homes. Plus, our Jillian Gray shares a few of her favorite things. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Chair. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
This is our news. Welcome back. Santa's sleigh flew over to Grand Bahama, where residents in some of the areas hardest hit by Hurricane Dorian last year received the gift of home repairs. Giorgio Bain reports.
A partnership that started over a year ago is now making its presence felt in one of Grand Bahama's hardest hit areas. Residents of Rocky Creek receiving a much-needed donation just in time for Christmas. The Rotary Club and Third Dimension came together to give residents the tools they need to start rebuilding their homes a year after the passage of Hurricane Dorian.
Today, we decided to utilize the Rocky Creek community with this donation because we believe that they need it the most.
It's been the season of giving, and we wanted to provide a donation to them, to the residents of Rocky Creek, so that in these times, I know that Hurricane Dorian was last year, but some people are still feeling the effects up till this day. So within this effort, along with our grand opening, we wanted to give back to Rotary so that they're able to give back to Rocky Creek.
Maxie Knowles was near tears as she accepted her donation. She says it will help her to rebuild her home that was destroyed.
Right now I won't cry, but it was hard. It was hard on us. I have an 18-year-old. We living in the house there. Thank God for the roof, the body, but the inside, just getting it together. And through Rotary Club, I still give you all thanks.
After the lockdown, everything was slow, and getting a help like this is pretty good, and at least we could get on our foot, and get a roof over our head.
Walter Reckley has been a bone fisherman for 34 years and thanked the Rotary Club for helping him to get his boat back on the water and giving him the funds he needs to start rebuilding his home.
It was going kind of rough. Right out of the storm, I lost my whole house, my job. I'm a sports fisherman, bone fisherman. So just packing here and there, trying to keep my head above the water. And we really appreciate the Rotary of the Bahamas for what they're doing and what they're about to do for us.
It's going to go a long way in helping my family to, get a start with our home. We lost everything in Hurricane Dorian. So we are grateful.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
After feeding 5,000 people on Thanksgiving Day, United Faith Ministries is again seeking to feed thousands this Christmas. Senior Pastor Falman Ferguson says Operation Christmas will begin promptly at 8 a.m. Christmas morning and no one will be turned away.
During the Thanksgiving, we had set out to feed a minimum of 3,500 persons. We went to 5,000. This time we are seeking to feed a minimum of 2,500 people. Only God knows where that's going to go. But we are prepared in perhaps that if it goes to 3,500, that would be pleasing to myself. But we are hoping, by God's grace, to feed no less than 2,500 people.
Well, they say home is where the heart is, and in tonight's segment of My Favorite Things, our Jillian Gray takes us inside her home and shows us the people and traditions that are near and dear to her heart during the holidays.
My Christmas usually starts or ends like this. Yep, that's my dad, and he's usually either playing that harmonica or giving us some words of wisdom. I used to take these long talks for granted, but these moments are now top of my favorite things list, as I've come to realize that these are the moments that are so precious, as in an instant, things can change.
Be careful, Mommy!
That was my mom and sisters fleeing our home in Grand Bahama when the water began to surge during Dorian last year. From Pampers to pageants, my mom has always been my #1 fan. She's taught my sisters and I the importance of faith in God, kindness towards mankind, and how to make a mean Johnny cake. So of course, both she and that Johnny cake recipe have a spot among my favorite things. This season, I'm grateful that she and my sisters are still here to celebrate. In recent years, we started a Christmas cookie decorating competition. Now, because of the pandemic, 2 of them have decided to remain in Grand Bahama for the holidays, but we're not letting distance stop us. I'll be able to claim my sweet victory over Zoom. Having my own family now, these traditions have become like treasures in a chest that I store for my daughter. From matching PJs to learning new recipes from my mother-in-law, whether I'm caroling with my dad, quarreling with my sisters, or dancing with my cousins. Christmas for me is all about sharing in moments that will make memories for a lifetime.
2020 has been a hard year for all of us, but celebrating your family traditions is one way to make sure it ends merry and bright. From my family to yours, a Merry Christmas and have a safe and prosperous New Year. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks for sharing those special moments with us. Still to come, Greg is back in the studio with holiday weather. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Chair. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back to our news. We're ready for a cooler Christmas holiday weekend. Here's Greg back in the weather studio.
Thanks again, Christina. Our second look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Lactogen 3 from 1 year onward, distributed by Lightburn Trading Limited. Satellite view around the area, we have that very strong cold front moving across the Florida Panhandle. We expect that system to get into the northwest Bahamas late tonight, early tomorrow, so we're looking for some showers and thunderstorms as the frontal boundary enters our area. But behind that is the real story. We expect some very cold, chilly air to be moving across our area. Very strong high pressure will be building in behind that cold front, ushering temperatures across the northwest Bahamas into the 50s and the 60s for some of your daytime highs into the weekend. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. We expect those winds to be out of the southwest to west ahead of the front, but they will be swinging towards the northwest to north behind that front Gale warnings posted, so we're asking boaters to remain in port. 20 to 30 knot winds, seas very rough, 6 to 9 feet. While in the central and southeastern islands, caution, advisory, pardon me, southeast to south winds, 20 to 25 knots, seas 5 to 8 feet. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. I see Santa's trying to throw us some snow. So here's throwing the snow back at you, Christina, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Greg. Well, 'twas the night before Christmas and Santa was racing all over the world to deliver presents by Christmas morning. But if you want to know where jolly old Saint Nick is, there's one way to get the scoop.
When radar gave warning, it made such a clatter. Planes took to the sky to see what was the matter. And with every maneuver so lively and quick, NORAD's best team tracked old jolly Saint Nick.
The North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, is tracking Santa for the 65th year today. And as you can imagine, technology has changed the way that's done.
Over mountains and seas, they tracked Santa on screens, while children below drifted back to their dreams. For 65 years now, NORAD's tracked Santa on his trek around the world from Quebec to Atlanta.
Santa's trip around the world officially began last night in order for him to hit all of the stops in time for Christmas.
It appears that the elves have finished loading Santa's sleigh, and Santa has lifted off. Even loaded with all the gifts and goodies, Santa's sleigh seems to be moving lightning fast.
Santa even visited the space station this year as he makes his route around the world and here to the Bahamas. Around 10:30 this morning, Santa visited Indonesia. Of course, Santa should make it here to the Bahamas before the stroke of midnight, weather permitting.
The flight of his sleigh is such a magical sight. Happy holidays to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you for joining us for our news on this Christmas Eve. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night for our Christmas edition. Stay tuned for Finding Santa right here on RTV. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.